Well, what are we waiting for?
No pressure, right?
Is that a joke?
I have a habit of making bad jokes in tense situations.
I can assure all of you that this is certainly no joke. Anyways, welcome back, true believers, and all you merry Marvelites, to another very interesting Avengers Project related video. So with Gamescom less than 1 week away until the Avengers Project A-Day demo is officially playable for the entire public to get their hands on, I did want to discuss some very interesting aspects about the game overall. It's no secret to see that the marketing that this game is currently having isn't really doing it too many favors, considering how a lot of people are still a bit hesitant on buying it once it does release. However, once the A-Day gameplay is officially available for the entire public to watch 1 week after Gamescom, hopefully opinions do start to shift once that happens. But even though the leaked Avengers gameplay, which has been revealed during E3 and San Diego Comic-Con, have been met with average fan receptions from the general public, the main publisher of Square Enix are still pretty confident within the game itself. Even before the game actually showcased its main trailer during E3, Square Enix did go out publicly and state that they are trying their best to try and surpass what Spider-Man PS4 did back in 2018. Not only that, but they are actually doubling down on their statements by saying that this game will in fact be a Game of the Year contender and will have an extremely emotional and impactful narrative. And all the while Spider-Man PS4 does manage to fit my specific category of my personal favorite video game of all time, I really do hope that the expectations that Square Enix are putting for themselves can be met once the Avengers does release. So, if we take Square's statements at face value and apply it to what the perfect scenario for this game could be, it might just end up being one of the best superhero games ever created. However, this can only happen if everyone at Marvel, Square, Eidos, and Crystal manages to pull it off. Which is why in this particular video, I did want to give all the developers in question the benefit of the doubt and discuss the top 5 improvements that the Avengers project currently has right now over Marvel's Spider-Man. I think you can all agree with me that Spider-Man PS4 was an absolutely phenomenal game, but there are still a few aspects that some people may have some gripes with compared to that of what we do currently know about the Avengers project. And even though I personally believe Spider-Man PS4 to be the best Spidey game to date, I still think given the type of game that the Avengers project is going to turn out to be, it might have a lot of longevity compared to that of what Spider-Man currently has. This doesn't just relate to the multiple years of content that we're going to receive with this game, but also relating to some of the gameplay mechanics that it currently features as well. So to sum it up, I'm not trying to put down any of the major success or well-rounded reception that Spider-Man PS4 has received, but just discuss how the Avengers could definitely do a great job if it does release in the best way possible. And based off of what we know right now, one of the aspects that I can see a lot of players diving into once it does fully release is actually the fully thought out customization system that the game will feature. So in the case of Marvel's Spider-Man, we were able to collect a multitude of resources in order to craft a specific suit for Spider-Man to wear within Marvel's New York. And if we do manage to include all of the suits that were implemented within the base game, as well as the City That Never Sleeps DLC and the most recent updates, the game does have an actual total of 42 costumes. And to be quite frank, for a single player game that has no multiplayer aspects whatsoever, that is just flat out incredible. But on the other hand, to the main benefit of Marvel's Avengers, the game actually is going to have a major function relating to online co-op to play with your friends. And because of this aspect, there is going to be a very in-depth and robust customization system which will allow players to try and make their own specific Avenger in their own way. So in the case of Spider-Man, you were able to choose your own specific set outfit as well as the type of suit mods you want to try and increase a certain type of playstyle for Spider-Man to fight with, as well as his own unique suit power. But for the Avengers case, we will be able to equip specific equipment which will increase the different stats that your character does have. And based off what I saw during the behind closed doors San Diego Comic-Con footage, it did look like that those specific stats related to offense, defense, and speed. And alongside of this, it does look like that the Avengers Project's upgrade system is going to have 3 different slots for you to upgrade, with that of your fighting moves, as well as your traversal abilities and the special attacks known as heroic abilities. And even though Spider-Man PS4 did have a very similar style of skill tree, I do think it's going to be a bit more impactful within the Avengers case, given how many heroes we will be able to play as. And because of this factor, it might end up making the overall customization abilities within the Avengers project almost limitless. And due to this point, this directly relates to the second improvement that the Avengers project has over Spider-Man PS4 is the massive amount of variety within the game's playstyles. So far, we have two massive playable flying characters within the Avengers project, with that of Iron Man and Thor, where one of them relates to hardcore ranged attacks and the other one relates to up-close quarters combat. Adding on to that, we also have the major tank of the group with that of the Incredible Hulk, along with the much more rounded and grounded character with that of Captain America. And to finalize the starting roster of characters, we also have the much more tactical group member of that of Black Widow. And as a bonus, even though we don't know exactly how their specific movesets are going to be in the final game, we do know that Ant-Man and Ms. Marvel are going to be playable within the game once it does release. So already with the primary access of up to 7 heroes when we do start playing the Avengers project, that already gives a major edge to the overall playstyle that you can simply have as playing as Spider-Man. Even though I personally can play Spider-Man PS4 non-stop and never get bored of it, there are actually some people who do. The main reason as to why some people feel this way is because it can only get so entertaining for so long to keep doing the same swinging animations and fighting maneuvers over and over again within Spider-Man PS4. But for the Avengers case, say for example someone is playing 24/7 as the Incredible Hulk, but they don't want to keep playing the game anymore because they can only play as that one character. Lucky enough, that's not actually going to be the case, considering that you as the player can choose which specific Avenger you want to play as whenever you feel like once the game's prologue is over. And knowing that this doesn't just relate to the game's main campaign of the single player, but also for the massive multiplayer online mode with the co-op as well, I definitely think that's going to be a huge advantage compared to Spider-Man PS4. And once again, this directly relates to another point that I have on my list, which directly relates to the game's massive feature, which is in fact co-op. Now, in my personal opinion, I believe single-player games to be the most superior form of game out there, especially if you do want to experience a fully awesome AAA game. And this was shown nowhere better within the superhero video game realm with that of Spider-Man PS4, whose base game clocked in a total of over 20 hours long. And given that that's how long the game was on launch, it makes it even crazier when you add in all the City That Never Sleeps DLC, which included a total of 10 plus hours worth of content, making the overall game in total over 30 hours long. And if you manage to compare it with all the other games out there, that officially makes it one of the longest superhero games in history. But based on how adamant the overall developers from Crystal were about this, they seem dedicated to provide a very well lengthy and involved storyline within the overall world of the Avengers project. Granted, we don't know for sure right now whether or not the main campaign of the Avengers project is going to get any DLC down the line, but we do know that the overall edition of the game will include new heroes and regions to explore at a free basis. In short, especially if you're a major Marvel fan, there's going to supposedly be no way for you to be bored with this game, with the fact that you can do it either as a single-player AAA experience or play it co-op with all your buddies. So if you're the type of person who's beaten Spider-Man PS4 on New Game Plus more than once now and are getting a little bit bored of the game, I do think the Avengers project will definitely satiate your gaming tastes. And that absolutely relates to the second to last point on my list, with that of there going to be constant updates to be featured within the game after its main launch on May 15th, 2020. Knowing what the developers said during E3 is that every new superhero to play as within the Marvel Universe, as well as all these new regions to explore, will in fact be 110% free. And also, like I said previously, the only additional content that Spider-Man PS4 received was the City That Never Sleeps DLC pack, which did add 3 separate chapters to the game's story, along with new side missions and suits to obtain within the world. And while that was without a doubt one of the best expansion packs to receive for a superhero game in general, the Avengers project is supposedly going to have content for years to come. The overall City That Never Sleeps pack only lasted for a total of 3 months, but what the Avengers project is claiming that we will be able to play it even after the game launches in 2020 and even afterwards in the coming years. So while we are all still thoroughly unclear as to how these updates within the game are going to operate, I do think if Square, Eidos, Crystal, and Marvel are true to their word, they're going to have a lot of content added within this game once it's fully finished. We only know a total of 7 main characters to be added within the game right now, and only 1 main region with that of San Francisco. So who knows, by the time we might have a total of up to 100 characters and possible regions added in the final product. And even though I don't know if they're going to go that crazy in terms of the amount of characters or regions that we can play as or explore, I'm just hoping for what the best case scenario could possibly be. But even out of everything that I have discussed so far, there is one major aspect that I could see them going above and beyond within the Avengers project compared to that of Spider-Man PS4. And if you're someone like me who absolutely believes that Marvel's Avengers and Marvel's Spider-Man are connected within one singular universe, this obviously relates to the one and only possible Marvel gaming universe. So it should absolutely be no surprise given all the areas that we will be able to explore within Marvel's Avengers compared to the only one world with with that of Marvel's New York and Spider-Man PS4, the main aspect I am talking about here is world building. Even with the massive open world that Spider-Man PS4 had in Marvel's New York, there were still a buttload of Easter eggs and references to the wider Marvel universe. And while I've personally never seen Manhattan as beautiful as it was within Spider-Man PS4, I do think the Avengers project has a leg up on it given all the regions that we will be able to look into within this game. Surely enough, with the feature of adding in even more regions to look into within Marvel's Avengers could possibly indicate a butt ton of even more Easter eggs to look into within all these worlds. This could obviously range to a much more grounded location like that of AIM Island, or possibly something even crazier like that of Wakanda or Asgard. Spider-Man PS4 already set the groundwork for what the Marvel gaming universe could entail, so it's now up to the Avengers project to hopefully fully establish what the MGU could look like once these games do connect. And yes, I did actually end up saying once instead of if, because I am almost thoroughly convinced that both of these games are connected one way or another. In the end, I love absolutely everything within Spider-Man PS4, and I just really hope that given everything that Square, Eidos Crystal, and Marvel are saying about the Avengers project, that it can live up to everyone's expectations. And while I don't know for sure whether or not Marvel's Avengers is going to be better than Marvel's Spider-Man, I can just cross my fingers and hope for the best. But until that time comes, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What did you think of my top 5 list of the improvements that we can see Avengers project possibly have compared to that of Spider-Man PS4, and do you have anything that I may have missed? For me personally, given how amazing Spider-Man PS4 was and seeing how ambitious the Avengers project is looking like, it would be absolutely foolish if they didn't connect both games to create the Marvel gaming universe in some way. Not only would this make every single fan on Earth happy, but it would also create a much more well-rounded universe for this version of the Marvel characters. But still, only time will tell, and until that time comes, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, stay merry Marvelites, and peace out.
Thor, what's your status?
There are humans trapped. Lots of small, angry men with guns.
Is that a joke? Did Thor make a joke?
Actually, they're good jokes, but I understand humor can be subjective.